Attention to all life insurance agents. Are you tired of getting objections that are killing your sales? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the exact step-by-step playbook that has helped us sell, as you can see here, over $12 million in life insurance. And the reason that we've been able to sell over $12 million in life insurance in the last 2 years is because we have the perfect playbook on how to overcome every single objection possible. And in this video, I'm going to walk you through the word track, this step-by-step on how to overcome every single objection so that you can kill the objections like, I need to think about it. I need to speak to my spouse. I can't pay for it today. Can you call me later? I can't do this. I need more time. I'm going to share with you exactly in this video how to kill every objection so that you can make more money. And if you watch to the end, I promise you, you will be a better life insurance agent. So let's go ahead and let's jump into it right now. So as you guys can see here, I have built a playbook and I'm going to share with you the exact word tracks on how to kill all the most common objections. Now, when it comes to killing objections, the main objections are going to be categorized into 4 topics. We have money objections, we have a decision maker objection, we have a time objection, and then we have a preference objection. And through that, the combination of objections will be killed. Now, I'm also going to share with you too a looping framework that will basically guarantee that you can continue to loop them and loop them and loop them to eventually say yes. And before we jump into these objections, there's a simple framework that we use that you're going to see that's going to be common that allows you to overcome objections. The first one is that you're always going to acknowledge their objection by agreeing with them. When you agree with them, their ears open up. You never want to fight with your prospects. Secondly, you're also going to see a common framework being isolating the objection, which is trying to find out what the true objection is. When your prospect is saying they need to think about it, well, what is it that you need to think about it? The third thing is diving deeper with that isolation and solving that objection that they said they want to solve. And the fourth thing is going out and making a suggestion that solves the problem. So we're going to jump into the money objection first. When a prospect gives you a money objection, what does that even mean? Okay. Well, the prospect is typically going to say that they can't afford the policy, they can't afford the life insurance, or they're giving you a money objection because they don't see the value. If they don't see the value, then we have to overcome that. So typically, this is going to sound like this when it's a money objection. I need to check my budget. That's a money objection. When someone says at the end, I can't really afford it. Well, they probably have the money. They don't see the value. Or I can't pay for it today. That's a money or affordability problem. Okay. So let's first talk about objection 1, which is I need to check my budget. You probably hear this the most common when it comes to people on a fixed income. So how do you overcome that? The first part of the frame is acknowledge. So Miss Betty, she tells me, Peter, everything sounds great, but I need to check my budget before making a decision. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to say, well, Miss Betty, I completely understand, Betty. So it sounds like to me that you really do value having the life insurance in place to ensure that you are tied back to the concern, which means that you want to bring back the words that she said. So if she told you that she doesn't want to be leaving her daughter stuck paying for the burial expenses, you're going to bring that pain back into this. So it sounds like to me that you really value having the life insurance in place to ensure that your daughter, Samantha, she's not stuck paying for your burial expenses. But it sounds like to me your biggest concern is the making sure that your monthly payment fits inside of your budget. Is that about right? So we acknowledge it, and now we're trying to isolate what the objection is. She's going to say, you're going to wait for a response. She's typically going to say yes. Then we're going to go ahead and break that objection down, which is, gotcha. So like price aside, Miss Betty, do you feel like this could help give you the peace of mind that you've been looking for? She then going to typically, hopefully, say yes, because most of the time, if it's price, they want it, they just can't afford it. We're going to wait for the response. Okay, I totally understand. Just curious, hypothetically speaking, do you feel that, $67 per month for the $10,000 in coverage, is that just a little too high for your budget right now? Now we're trying to figure out if the price is too expensive, because if the price is too expensive, then we can solve for that. Then we're going to wait for her response. Typically, she's going to say, yes, that $67 is just a little too expensive right now, Peter. Then we're going to go into the suggestion loop, which is, well, Miss Betty, can I make a suggestion to share with you what most of my clients do when they need to check their budget? Can I share with you what most of them typically do? And then she's going to say, wait for a response. Then she's going to say yes. Well, What they typically do is they're going to start with something small, like the 8,000 instead of the 10,000 for $51 per month. This will make sure that your daughter Samantha is not going to have to start a GoFundMe like you told me earlier. It's going to make sure that your daughter Samantha isn't stuck paying for any of your funeral expenses. And ultimately, I'll be your agent for life. This gives you time to check your budget and make sure it feels nice and comfortable for you. And if you ever want to increase that coverage later down the road, we can always do that together. Does that sound fair? Now, if she says no, then we're going to go into our looping objection. But for now, the word track is this. You acknowledge that, I understand you got to check your budget. You then ask her, okay, is that $86 is a little bit too expensive for you? She says, yeah, it's a little too high. Then you ask her, hypothetically speaking, can I make a suggestion to share with you what most of them are going to do? You may ask her for the suggestion. She says yes, and then you go ahead and you downsell her to a lower option that's more comfortable for her budget that allows her to add in the future. And that's how you handle the first objection when they say, I need to check my budget. The reason that they need to check their budget is probably because it's too expensive. Now, the second objection that's going to be very, very common in the money objection is when someone tells you, I can't afford it. So how do you handle that? Well, I completely understand, Miss Betty, when you say, it sounds to me that you really value having the life insurance in place because you want to make sure that at the end of the day, if something happens to you, your daughter Samantha, she's not having to pay your funeral arrangement. She's not having to be stuck with this bill that she can't afford. But your biggest concern is that just monthly payment is mainly just that monthly payment. Is that about right? Okay, so you guys are seeing I'm always trying to tie in the value, tie back to concern of what they said in the discovery. When it comes to good objection handling, it's very crucial that you bring back the words that they said in their discovery. Okay, so you want to tie back. So let's try it one more time. She says, I can't afford it. First thing is, I completely understand. Acknowledge, Miss Betty. So it sounds to me that you value having the life insurance in place to ensure that your daughter Samantha is not stuck with your burial expenses, but your biggest concern is just that monthly payment. Is that about right? You're always ending with a question when it comes to objection handling because a question allows you to have power. You have control. If you're asking questions, you're in control. Is that about right? She's then going to say, yeah, that's about right. Gotcha. So putting the price aside for a moment, do you feel like having this plan in place would give you the peace of mind that you've been looking for? So then we're isolating the objection by asking her basically, without the price, thinking about the price, is this a solution that's going to give you the peace of mind? Typically, if they value the life insurance, they're going to say yes. Yeah, I would say so. Then you respond with, okay, totally understand. Just curious. Hypothetically speaking, is that $71 for the 8,000 of coverage? Does that feel like a little too high, or are you just not sure if you can, take on a bill right now? Well, they might say, well, yeah, it's a little too high, or they might say, yeah, it's out of my price range. We're trying to isolate deeper of what about the price makes them worried? Why are they concerned about the $83? Okay. Then they're going to respond, and you can say, okay, I totally hear you, Miss Betty. Can I make a suggestion? Can I share with you what most of my clients do when they feel the same way as you? She's going to say, sure. Then we're going to make the suggestion. Well, what they'll typically do is start small. What we can do, Miss Betty, is we'll start with that $5,000 option for $47 per month. That way, they still have something in place so that their family isn't stuck paying for their funeral expenses. It's going to make sure that Samantha's not having to pay for any of your burial expenses, and you can get a small burial in place. And here's the best part. I'll be your agent for life. This way you can, start now with what feels comfortable. And if you ever want to increase that later down the road, we can always do that later. Does that sound fair? So then you make the suggestion. So the suggestion is so important because it allows them to ease their mind. It solves their problem. Number one, covers their burial expenses. Allows them to start with something small that they know they can keep, and it allows them to increase in the future. And that is how you handle, I can't afford it. And if they say no to that, then you take them right back to our objection looping, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit as well. Okay, so cool, following along. That is how you handle the I can't afford it. Okay, typically everyone can afford $1 a day. So just know if it's a price thing, they probably are not valuing it. That's why it's so important when someone says I can't afford it, that you're bringing back the pain of what would happen if they don't say yes. that their daughter's going to have to go through this pain, that their husband's going to have to go through this pain, that their loved one's going to have to go through this pain. Most people don't want to put their loved ones in that position, so you have to tie that in. Okay, cool. Another money objection that we're going to handle together is when someone tells you, I can't pay for it today. Okay, really common. Sometimes people just say no, no, no because they're worried about paying for it today, especially if you're selling final expense clients. You don't get paid until typically the first, the third, the second, or third Wednesday, so security billing. This is something to keep very in mind. And it's also important if you're even working with the working class. People are living paycheck to paycheck. And if they don't have any money in their account, they're not going to say yes. Okay, so here's how to handle the objection. I can't pay today. Okay, so this is how we're going to do it. So I completely understand, Miss Betty. So it sounds to me that you really value having, the life insurance. You really want to make sure that your kids aren't stuck with the bill. Tie back their pain here again. It's a common theme. So you're going to acknowledge it first. And then it sounds to me that you really, value life insurance. And it sounds to me that you really want to make sure that your kids aren't stuck with your funeral expenses, that your kids aren't the ones going to be stuck with your bills. But your concern is that you don't have the ability to pay for it today. Is that about right? Then she's going to be like, yeah, I don't have the money today. Okay, gotcha. So putting today's payment aside for just a second, so we're going to isolate deeper. Do you feel like that having this plan in place would give you the peace of mind that you've been looking for? So we're getting her to say that, hey, the reason that she's not buying this is because she doesn't have the money. She wants it, she values it, but we're isolating the variable for her to admit that the only reason she's not moving forward is because of the price. Okay, so let's go through that one more time. So gotcha. So just putting today's payment aside for just a second, Miss Betty, do you feel like having this plan in place would give you the peace of mind that you've been looking for? And then she's going to say, yeah, absolutely. Well, the good thing is this. What day do you typically receive your benefits? She's going to say, well, I get paid on the 3rd of the month. Okay, well, how about we do this? Since you don't have to pay for anything today, let's see if you're first eligible for this coverage. And if you are approved, we'll set up your first payment to come out of your account on the 3rd of the month, which is the day that you get paid. Does that sound fair? So I'm going to make a really important note here. You see how I'm not just saying, well, no worries. We're not even sure if we get you approved. We can, we're not even sure. We can first see if we can get you approved and then we can kind of set it up. Let's get you approved. I'm reducing my chargeback language. I'm letting him know that, hey, if we do get you approved, you're going to pay for it on a specific date. We're not just here to get people approved, guys. This is a common theme. We're not here just to get people qualified. We're here to let them know that if you make this decision, you're going to be paying for this policy, and you're also going to be committing to, committing to this long term. This is not just an approval language close, which kills life insurance agents and kills profitability and kills cash flow. So do not, as your objection handling, go into objection handling thinking that you're just getting people approved or you're pulling the wool over their eye. Be honest and be transparent. So this is the 3 common objections. I can't pay for it today. I can't afford it. And I need to check my budget. That's how you kill those money objections. Now let's go into the decision maker objection. I believe that decision maker is one of the hardest objections to kill because the prospect is saying that they cannot make a decision without someone else's permission or input. So they're not making a decision because someone else is in their ear, in their mind, preventing them from making that decision. Now what you need to do is you have to understand who has the power. In this situation, they're giving the power to someone else, their wife, their cousin, their friend, their brother. What you need to do is you're going to see that we're going to use a hypothetical to bring the power back into them to allow them to make their own decision and almost hypothetically feel like that person that they have that helps them make the decision is going to be in the room with them. So I'm going to share with you how to do this. The most common objection is the spousal objection. I need to talk to my spouse, or I need to speak with someone else about making this decision. Okay. So the first step is when someone says, I need to speak to my spouse before I make a decision, is this. Well, I totally understand that you want to speak to your wife, your spouse about this. Just so we're on the same page, when you say that, is it more about going it over with them about the price, or you're unsure if you really even need the coverage? So we're acknowledging it. I understand you think about it, and then we're isolating. Is it more about going over the price with them, or are you just unsure if you even need the coverage? And then we're going to wait for the response. Typically, they want to just make sure that they're on board, or they're going to make sure that that's like the price fits their budget. Okay, so gotcha. So it sounds like you both value having the life insurance. Let me ask you this. Hypothetically speaking, if your spouse were here with you today, which option do you feel like they would tell you to go with? Okay, now we're trying to bring the power into our own hands of saying, hey, hypothetically speaking, if your spouse was right here with us today, which one do you think she'd tell you to go with? And then we're going to wait for the response. Probably the 10,000. Boom. Now, once we hear that, we're going to move forward. Well, can I make a suggestion to share with you what most of my clients do who need to speak to their spouse before making a decision? Can I kind of share with you what they typically do? Then they're going to say yes. Well, what most of my clients do is most of my clients will go ahead and start with that $8,000 option. Since you told me this earlier, that your wife would probably be on the same page with that option. From there, the first step is just seeing if you can even get approved. That way you actually have something to discuss with your spouse. And the good news is this. If you do want to increase your coverage after you talk with them, you can always call me back and we can adjust it together. So let's go ahead and start with that $8,000 option. Make sure you're approved, and then we'll have the flexibility to increase the coverage or adjust it later. Does that sound fair? If they say yes, you're going to move into the application. If they say no, then you're going to loop back into the objection handling loop. But what I want to share with you is one of the most important parts here. It's this question here. And which option do you think they tell you to go with? They say, oh, my wife would tell me to go with the $8,000 option. And why do you think that? This question here is crucial. This question, I'm going to italicize that. And why do you think that? Because they're going to then sell themselves on why they think their wife or their spouse would tell them. Well, she thinks it'd probably fit the budget, and she'd probably say it's enough to kind of cover all my burial expenses. Oh, I see. So basically, they are being sold by their spouse that's not even here, which is extremely powerful. It brings the prospect's spouse, who has the power, now the power is now on the decision maker. Now, can I share with you a suggestion to share with you what most of my clients do? And then they're going to say yes. And then you're going to go ahead and use those words against them. Most of my clients will go ahead and start with that $8,000 option. Since you already told me earlier, right here, boom, that your wife would be on the same page. And from there, we can increase it. So that's exactly how you use the hypothetical of I need to speak to my spouse, or I need someone else to make the decision for me, is that you want to use this word track. And really quick, for anybody that does not know, I do have an agency, Legacy Family Life. We are, we'll give you all the leads, we'll give you all the systems, we give you all the training, and allows you to even build your own brokerage with us. If anybody's interested in wanting to join, I am hiring. It's in the description below. Now back to the video here. So how do you handle the decision maker when someone says someone else is paying for the policy? This is a common objection in selling life insurance, especially final expense. Sometimes you'll hear, well, everything sounds good. I want to go with the $10,000, but hey, I'm not paying for it. My wife's paying for it, or my cousin's paying for it, or my uncle's going to be helping me out paying for it. You're going to get these random objections where someone else is contributing financially to make the decision, okay? So in this situation, what you need to do is you need to get the power back into the prospect's hands, and you need to figure out what they can afford without someone else's help. So let me explain to you how you're going to do that, okay? So gotcha. So hypothetically speaking, it sounds like to me, Jim Tom, that you do want this coverage, but your biggest concern is that, someone else is going to be paying for it. Is that about right? Yeah, my sister's going to be paying for it. Okay, well, let me ask you this, Mr. Jim Tom. What happens if you go to your sister and they tell you that they can't afford it? What would you do then? Well, I don't know. I probably wouldn't even be able to afford it, they might say. Well, if they can't afford it, then I probably can't get life insurance because I can't afford the $86 is what it's going to sound like. Well, I totally understand, Mr. Jim Tom. Now, do you feel like this coverage is valuable and it wouldn't give you the peace of mind that you've been kind of like looking for? So now we're trying to isolate. They're going to say yes. Well, great. Well, then let me ask you a quick question. What's an amount that you can afford comfortably without depending on anyone else? I don't know. I could do the $30 or $40 option. So then you're removing the sister, the brother-in-law, the friend who's going to be paying for the policy, and they're admitting on what they can afford. Okay, perfect. Well, let's go ahead and start off with that option. Let's start off with the $5,000 program for the $42 per month, the one you know that you can afford on your own. That way, you're not relying on anyone else, and your family's protected. If your cousin decides to help you out, you can always call me back and we'll increase the coverage later. But just for today, let's lock in what you know you can handle so your family's taken care of. Does that sound fair? And then we're going to go ahead and move forward. So this is allowing us to go from, hey, my sister's paying for the policy. Well, if your sister says no, what would you do? Well, I'd probably still get the coverage. Why do you say that? Well, because the coverage is going to give me the peace of mind. Okay, great. So out of the options, which ones do you think you can afford? I can probably afford the $40 option. Okay, well, let's do this. Let's start with the $40 option. So you have something small in place right now for your family. Then you can go to your sister. And if your sister says, hey, let's get more coverage, then you can call me back. We can increase it. But let's start with something that you can afford. Does that sound fair? So does everyone understand how to handle that decision maker objection? So we're 2 out of our 4 objections, which is the money objection, the decision maker objection, and the preference objection is what we're going to handle now. Okay, what is a preference objection? The preference objection is when the prospect says they don't like something specific about the product or the approach. And how does that sound? That sounds like this. I'm going to teach you how to handle, well, I want to shop around. Okay, well, we got to break that one down. So what does that mean? So when someone says I need to shop around, it's I totally understand that you'd like to shop around. I mean, I think it's smart that you do so. When it comes down to selecting a company, what are you mainly looking for? Are you looking for like the lowest price, the most coverage, or are you ensuring that there's like no waiting period? What's most important to you in a policy? So we're trying to isolate knowledge, and then we're trying to isolate like what's preventing them in this policy do they not like? So we can solve for that objection, which is like, I want something that's the lowest price. I want something with no waiting period. I want something that's, we're trying to figure out what they're looking for so that we can solve for that. Cool? So they're going to respond. Got it. So it sounds like that you do value having life insurance in place, but you want to make sure, and then you're going to repeat back to them what they said, that you find the company with the best price, or you figure out what the variable is. You want to find the company that's the best company, the most reputable company, or you want the company with no waiting period is solved. Is that about right? In this scenario, let's just play it as they want the policy with the best price. Okay, got it. So it sounds like you do value having life insurance in place. You just want to make sure that you get the policy with the best price. Is that about right? They're going to say yes. Okay, perfect. Now, as you shop around, is there anything else you are looking for when it comes down to selecting the company to go with? So once they tell you it's the price, we're going to dive deeper here. So it's a common theme. Isolate and dive deeper. Is there anything else that you're looking for when it comes down to selecting the company to go with? No, I just want the best price. Perfect. So if I can find you a company today that meets those standards, there should be nothing else that's holding you back from seeing we get this taken care of. Is that about right? We're typically going to look for a yes here. Yeah, that's about right. Perfect. Well, can I make a suggestion to share with you what most of my clients do who want to shop around and want to find the policy with the best price? See how I'm bringing that back? Well, let me share with you what they do. Since I work with over 26 different companies, from Mutual of Omaha to Gerber, I can see Colonial Penn's rates. My job is to shop the market for you. Instead of you spending weeks calling around for quotes, I can guarantee I'll help you land on the best option for your health, your budget, and your coverage needs. I will find you the lowest rate. And right now, Miss Betty, this company, let's say Legacy Life, is hands down the best option for you statewide. No other company is going to provide these exact benefits at this rate. So here's what we'll do. Let's first see if you're even approved. And if you are, you'll know you've locked in the best rate available. And if you want to shop around afterwards, totally fine. But at least tonight, you can go to bed at night knowing that your family is protected with the strongest, most affordable option on the market. Does that sound fair? So as you can see, guys, we acknowledge, we isolate, we dive deeper, and then we make a suggestion that solves their concerns. because we're still saying you can shop around, but if you have the best product, it's like, hey, Miss Betty, you can still shop around. I promise you there's not going to be a lower rate. I promise you there's no better company than this. So how about we do this? Let's first see if you're eligible for this coverage. Let's lock this in so nothing changes. And then you can have all the time you want to start looking around for more coverage. You can do all the due diligences that you want. But what we'll do is we'll see if you're approved, and then you can do the searching, and then you can call me back in a few days, a few weeks, and be like, yeah, Peter, I want to stay with you guys because it's actually the best rate. Does that sound fair? So do you guys see how I'm bringing their concerns in, solving them, and making a suggestion that's hard to say no? That's what you want to do, and that's why this script is so good. If they say yes, move into the application. If they say no, you're going to loop it back around. Let's keep moving forward. Cool. So if they say no, this is a deeper of a breakdown, deeper analysis. If they say no, then we want to figure out why they still want to shop around. So does that sound fair? And they say no. Okay, I totally understand, Miss Betty, that you still want to shop around. Just so that we're on the same page again, I'm a little confused. What exactly is it that you're hoping to see by shopping around? Well, I'm just gonna do my due diligence. I'm gonna find the best, product. Okay. And just curious, how will you know which company to go with? And what will tell you this is the right one? Well, it's going to be the company I can trust. It's going to be the company that I can see everything in the mail. And it's going to have the lowest price. Got it. So it sounds like as long as the company is the company that you can trust, has the lowest price, that's the reason that you're going to make a decision. Okay? And if I can make sure that plan already gives you that peace of mind, then there's really no reason to wait, right? Like, as long as I can find you something for that, there's nothing to really wait for, right? Yeah, that's right. And then you go back into making the suggestion. Well, here's this company. It's the best company statewide. There's no other company. It's going to be the lowest rate, the most affordable rate, and then you make the suggestion. So that's how you kind of go through one of the hardest objections, which is the shop around. You got to figure out why they're not moving forward, and then you want to solve for that. Now we want to talk about, I want to see something in writing. Going back to our preference objection, which is, I want to see something in writing. These are the lovely old men of the world of selling final expense that typically say this. I want to see something in writing. They're the mighty guys that need to see the stuff in the paperwork. I will share with you that most objections like this are typically smoke screens, but here's how you defeat them. Okay, so I want to see something in writing. I totally understand that you want to see something in writing. Now, just so I'm on the same page, what specifically do you want to see in writing? It's going to help you make a decision to protect your family. Okay, so we're going to acknowledge and we're going to isolate. Well, I want to see this. I want to see the paperwork. Okay, gotcha. So it sounds like to me that you want to see the variable paperwork before making a decision. Is that about right? Yes. Okay, great. So just so I'm fully prepared for our next conversation, is there anything else that you need to see in writing just to make sure you're making the right decision for your family? No, that's really it. Gotcha. Now, Jim Tom, can I make a suggestion to share with you what most of my clients do when they want to see something in writing before making a decision? Can I share with you what they typically do? Wait for the response. They're then going to say yes. Great. Well, here's what we'll do. First, let's see if you're even eligible to get approved. As I fill out the application with you, this is what I'm doing right now is I'm solving their concern. I'll send you screenshots so you can see exactly what I'm putting in writing, step by step. At the end, before you move forward, you'll get a full PDF copy of your contract so you can actually see the writing. We'll go through it together, line by line, word by word, to make sure it's accurate and that you're completely comfortable. And if you're approved, we'll also receive a physical copy in the mail. I'll even schedule a quick call with you before your policy starts so we can review it together one last time. So the first step is simply checking if you're qualified. And after that, you'll have everything in writing and full control before anything ever finalizes. Does that sound fair? So do you guys see how this suggestion allows them to think that they're in control, that they're going to see everything in writing, and that I'm literally solving all of their concerns and I'm making a suggestion. If they say no, we're going to loop them back in. If they say yes, move forward and just make sure that you follow that process. Give them the material that they want to see. before they sign, show them everything, and at the end, review everything in depth. And make sure you plan a call at the end. Say, hey, Mr. John, hey, I want to help you out. A few days before your policy starts, I'm going to call you. Does that sound fair? Cool. And now, if they say no to the suggestion, you're going to loop it back. If they say no to this, I'm a little confused, Mr. John. You just told me as long as you could see everything in writing, there would be nothing holding you back. But now it sounds like there might be something else. What am I missing? And they might say, well, I still want to see the physical copy, complete smokescreen. So you want to see the physical copy. Or they might give you a whole new objection. Well, I want to make sure it's the price, it fits the budget. Then you're going to handle that new objection. If it's, hey, I got a new objection, you're going to go ahead and move forward with that new objection. But if it's the, hey, I need to look at it in physical writing, then you're going to take them through your looping handling process. But if they say that, go into the objection looping. If they say a new objection, you go back to that new objection and we're going to loop them. So that's just a quick breakdown of how to do the preference objection. I want to shop around and I need something in writing. Now we're going to go through some of the most common objections, which is I need to think about it. Okay, this is time objections. Time objections come when the prospect says that they need more time to consider the decision without giving any specific reason. What this basically says is that time objections are complete BS. They don't make sense. And when people say they need to think about things that solve their problems, smoke screens. Okay, so how to handle I need to think about it. One of the most common objections is, I completely understand that you need to think about it, Miss Betty. Now, a lot of my clients say the same thing because it's an important decision. Just so I'm on the same page, when you say you need to think about it, is it more about the price or are you unsure if you even need the coverage? Now, we're isolating the objection. Okay, gotcha. So if it's the price, then what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our pricing objection loop and we're going to take them through the money objection. Price is a money objection, okay? Let's say it's not a price objection. They might say, well, I don't know. I just need more time. Okay. These are the people that are needing more time. They think time is going to give them enough thinking power. It's going to change their heart. It's going to allow them to make a decision. So how do you handle that? If they say, I need more time, you are going to continue. Gotcha. So other than just needing more time, is there anything else that you're concerned about? Because earlier you told me if you didn't get this coverage, bring back their pain, that your daughter would be stuck with the burial expenses, or your daughter would be the one stuck with the mortgage, or your daughter would be the one having to start a GoFundMe to pay for it. Is there anything else on your mind besides time? They're going to say no. Okay, well, I appreciate you sharing this, Miss Betty. Is it all right if I'm really honest with you? Sure, you can be honest with me. I can tell that you already know that you need this coverage in place. You want to protect your daughter from being stuck with the burial expenses, paying your mortgage off. Well, the problem is this. Most people who put this decision off never actually come back to it. And meanwhile, if something happens, their family is left with this burden. And I know you don't want that for your daughter. Can I make a suggestion to share with you what most of my clients do when they feel like they just need more time? Can I share with you what they do? She's going to say yes. Well, here's what most of my clients do. First, we check to see if they're even eligible for this coverage. Because if you're not, then there's really nothing to even think about. If you are approved, the good news is this. You will not have to make a payment today. We can even set your first payment out almost 30 days, giving you plenty of time to think it over. This way, you can go to bed at night knowing that you've done everything you can to make sure your family and daughter's protected. And if later on you want to adjust your coverage, whether up or down, I'll be your agent for life, and we can make those changes anytime. But at least this way, you'll have the peace of mind knowing that your loved ones aren't left unprotected while you're still thinking over. Does that sound fair? And she should say yes. That's how you handle that. Now, what happens if they said, I'm not ready to make a decision today? That's a common time objection. Well, I totally understand. A lot of my clients feel the same way. It's a big decision. You don't want to rush it, okay? Just so I'm clear, when you say that you're not ready to make a decision today, is it more about not wanting to make a payment today, or are you just unsure about moving forward, after all? Wait for the response. No, I know I need it. I just want to think about it. Got it. So it sounds to me like your main concern. So it sounds like that your main concern, other than that, is that is there anything else that you know potentially could be like holding you back from putting coverage in place? No, I just need more time. Because earlier you mentioned to me that if you didn't get this coverage, that your daughter would be stuck paying for your burial expenses. Is there anything else that you're worried about? Okay, I appreciate you being upfront with me, Miss Betty. Can I be really honest with you? We're using honesty. We're being blunt with them. These people are procrastinators. We have to be honest and we have to be direct with them. From what you told me, I know you see how important this is. Your family is counting on you to make this decision, to make sure that they're protected. Now, can I share with you what most of my clients do? What they'll do is they'll start with, can I share with you what most of my clients do when they feel they're not ready to decide right away? Is what we'll do is we'll go ahead and check even if you're eligible first. Because if you're not eligible, there's nothing to decide on. And if you are approved, you don't have to pay for anything today. We can even set out your first payment to the day of your benefits hit, giving you time to breathe and think it over. This way, you'll go to bed knowing that your family is protected. And you'll still have time before anything even starts. If you ever want to adjust later down the road, I'll be your agent for life, and we can do this together. Does that sound fair? And that is how you overcome the time objections. Those people are scared of making a decision. They're worried that they need more time to make a decision, but nothing in life, time is typically never the answer. It's typically indecision. They need someone that's convicting them, that's holding them, like, hey, you need to make this decision for yourself. And you're saying like, hey, we have plenty of time to think about it, but let's put this in place because you told me earlier you have to use their previous words against them. And through this process, if anybody ever says no to these objections, you take them through the looping process. And the looping process looks like this. Looping objections. Okay. I totally understand if they say no to any of your suggestions. Anytime you say a suggestion, does that sound fair? And they say no, then you take them through the objection loop. And you want to loop as many times, unlimited times as possible. This is how you take people on the 1 yard line and score a touchdown, is that you loop them and loop them and loop them, and they finally say hut, and they take it into the end zone. So how do you do this? No matter what they say, you always agree. I totally understand. Do you mind if I ask you a question? Do you feel like Miss Batty having a small, affordable plan that guarantees your daughter's not stuck with your burial expenses, would that bring you some of the peace of mind that you're looking for? Yes, I do, but then you're going to isolate it. Gotcha. Well, I totally understand. Well, is it typically more of the price that you're worried about, or are you just unsure if you need it? Wait for the response. If they give the specific objections, then you go right into the objection handling loop. Got it. So it sounds like you're more concerned about the price. Is that about right? And if so, you move into that pricing overcome, which is the money overcome. Now, if they don't give you a specific objection, you have to dive deeper. Well, it could be the price. There's also other things that I'm worried about. I hear you. I totally understand. But what is it that's your main concern? Objection handling is all about getting to the root. Getting to the root. What is your main concern? Okay, gotcha. So it sounds so it's more the time that you need to make a decision that you worry about. Is that about right? So other than that, are there anything else that's holding you back today? Well, it's the time and I don't have the money today. And then you move right into the objection based off of the objection handling loops. So that's how you loop it. You want to over and do it and do it and do it until they finally say yes. So this is how, guys, you can master and overcome every objection: a money objection, a price objection, a time objection, a preference objection, a decision maker objection. If you use this, I promise you guys, you will slay, do well, and crush your competition. If you guys like this video, comment below that you want more videos like this. If you don't like it, let me know as well. I'm kidding. Liked it, thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Cheers.